guys, my name is Jen and today I'm here to do my April wrap up. First of all, I want to point out that I am cosplaying someone right now. I don't know if you can guess. Wearing the jewelry pieces, like for example this emerald earring and then this blue necklace. Can you tell who I am? If so, please leave it down in the comment section below. But spoiler alert, I'm Howl from Howl's Moving Castle because I adore that movie and Howl is such an amazing character. I really like him. But basically, he's wearing this kind of outfit, okay? He's wearing like a white tunic and then he wears this necklace and then this pair of earrings right here. So yes, I bought these jewelry pieces on Etsy because I apparently want to become Howl. But besides that, I'm here to talk about the books that I read in April. Basically, I read 15 books in April. I DNF'd 2 books yet again because if you don't know, in March I DNF'd 2 books and then also in April I reread 6 books. I have my own reasons and I'll talk more about that later in this video. So yeah, let's just get started. The very first book that I read is Claudia and the New Girl by Gabriela Epstein, and then this graphic novel is based on the novel by N.M. Martin. If you don't know, I really love the Babysitters Club, like the graphic novels, and I've been reading them since I was a child. So of course now that I'm an adult, I need to like continue reading the series. Claudia is this girl right here. She's an artist in her friend group. In this graphic novel, she meets a new friend named Ashley, and Ashley is also an artist. However, Ashley can be quite gross in a way, but Claudia doesn't know that because she's just so excited to finally have a friend who likes art. However, it becomes a problem when Claudia, who is a member of this club, starts skipping the meetings. The other friends are like really pissed at Claudia and she's just in this predicament because she just doesn't know what to do. Oh, here's the thing, I think this might be my least favorite volume of the entire series. When I finished this, I was just kind of sad because I didn't love it, because with the other books, a lot of times I really end up like loving the graphic novel, but for this one, I was just underwhelmed. I was honestly kind of mad with a lot of characters in this book. The thing is, I don't want to bash on them because they're children. They don't really know how to communicate in a good way when it comes to like having problems with friends. When the other friends are like mad at Claudia, they're very passive aggressive and it's just so gross to see. And then we have Ashley right here. She sucks. I don't like her because the way she kind of uses Claudia is really gross to me because like Claudia loves art. I hate the fact that Ashley makes Claudia choose art over everything else. I think it's really weird because first of all, Claudia is so young. She's allowed to be multifaceted, so of course she can like art, but then she can also have this babysitting job. So it's kind of weird that this new girl comes in and just basically tells Claudia that she just has to choose art, because if she doesn't choose art over everything else in her life, then she won't become a successful artist. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of this volume. However, what's really funny is that even though I didn't enjoy this book, by the end of this graphic novel, I realized that Claudia is actually my favorite character of the entire series. The one thing that, you know, I really appreciate is that Claudia is Asian, her grandmother is Asian, so, you know, it's really nice to see that. But then also, I just like the fact that in this book, she literally wrote down a list of things that she needs to do to correct her mistakes, and she did everything. And I love that because I'm just like, wow, out of everyone, Claudia is the most mature out of everyone. It's really wild to see. At the end of the day, I gave this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Like I said, I love Claudia. She's actually my favorite character, so I like that. But still, I really hope that the next volume in this graphic novel series will be much better because I was not a big fan of this, so there's that. And now let's talk about these 3 books that I reread in April of 2021. So this is what they look like. This is the first 3 books of TMI, and if you don't know, TMI is the Mortal Instrument series by Cassandra Clare. Here I have City of Bones, City of Ashes, and City of Glass. So I decided to just reread the Shadowhunter Chronicles for funsies because I really want to annotate all of the books that I have in my collection, well, my Shadowhunter collection, so that's what I'm doing right now. First, let's talk about City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. So this is the very first book of TMI. There are some trigger warnings for this book. Mentions of domestic violence, animal death, violence, murder, and death. As for the synopsis, I feel like a lot of people know what this book is about, or like this entire series, but to give you a quick recap, basically in the very first book, our main character Clare, she finds out that she's a shadow hunter. In the beginning of this book, her mother is being taken away. Clare is trying to find her, and then she meets other people, like other shadow hunters, and then she learns about this world. Real quick, I actually have a book review and discussion for City of Bones, Ashes, and Glass. With those videos, I made them back in 2018. I feel like my opinions on this book is basically identical to my opinions back in 2018, and it's that this book is just so damn long. The last 100 pages, I swear to God, it drags on for such a long time because we get so much information all at once, and then you just have to sit there and digest it with the other characters. So with this book, it's not my favorite. And then also I was very annoyed with like our main group of characters, especially Clare, Simon, and Chase. Real quick, as for like the characters in TMI, I actually like them much more when they're adults. In this book series, they're like 16/17/18. Alec is 18 years old, but still I like them much more when they're adults. With this book, I give it a 3 out of 5 stars because oh my god, at times I want to stop reading this book. It's not horrible, but it's just not my favorite book from the entire series, so I don't really care about this book. So yeah, that's my opinion on City of Bones. And now City of Ashes by Cassandra Clare. This is the second book. There are some trigger warnings for this book: mentions of domestic violence, mentions of abusive relationship, self-harm, murder, violence, and then death. I'm not gonna lie, after I finished this book, I had like a crisis, I guess. It's such a weird feeling because if you don't know, City of Ashes changed my life back in 2013 because this is like the book that got me into reading, which is a really big deal. And then also when I reread all of the books back in 2018, this was like my favorite book of the entire series. So of course, you know, it means so much to me because of what happened in the past, but then also I actually really enjoy what happened in this book back in 2018. I think that's like my favorite reread. So when I reread this book in 2021, I didn't love it, to be honest. I did not give this 5 out of 5 stars, which is a weird feeling because back in 2013 I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. In 2018 I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, but in 2021, which is this year, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. It went down a little bit. It's not like bad. 4 out of 5 stars is still good. However, it's just a weird feeling giving this book 4 out of 5 stars, you know? What happened in this book? Oh my god. Yeah, Chase, Clare, Simon, and then the other characters. I will say one of my favorite characters is Luke because he's an adult and he has common sense. So I appreciate that. And now the last book that I want to talk about real quick in this section is City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. So this is the third book of TMI. There are some trigger warnings for this book: violence, murder, death, self-harm, mention of suicide, amputation, incest. Yes, incest, and attempted rape. As for this book, I really enjoy rereading this book, which is so surprising because oh my god, this book is really long, but a lot of things happen. By like the middle of this book, I was just like, wait a minute, I'm having so much fun listening to the audiobook. That was like a really great feeling because TMI is not my favorite series, so of course I thought that rereading TMI is not gonna be like the best experience, but when it comes to this book, I actually had a lot of fun. However, when it comes to Clare and Chase's relationship, I really don't care because god damn, I care about the other stuff, you know, like the Sebastian drama. I really like Isabel in this, so that was also nice. I actually like Simon as well in this, so yeah. But when it comes to like the two main characters and their relationship and their problems, I don't care about them at all, which is such a shame because I feel like back in 2013 that was like the only thing that I really care about. So it's just like a weird feeling to see my opinions on this one certain thing change over like the past 8 years. 2013 was 8 years ago, so yeah. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. Oh yeah, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. And again, I have book review and discussion for City of Glass. Real quick, I have made a book review and discussion for all of the books in the Shadowhunter Chronicles. So I will link the playlist down in the description box below. But yeah, it's been fun rereading TMI, and I think I will read TID next. So I'm very excited about that. The next book that I want to talk about is Beastars Volume 11 by Paru Itagaki. Real quick, there are some trigger warnings for this book: murder, violence, death, and then amputation. I feel like for this volume there's not much I can say because, you know, this is the 11th volume of this manga series. I will say we get a battle scene. It was quite intense. At times I was so confused, but still it was really intense. And then there's this part that got me shook. I was not expecting it whatsoever, but basically it involves someone losing their leg and I freaked out. And I think I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. I think it's good. However, I'm very scared of the direction of this manga series because I think I'm like halfway through the entire manga series. My boyfriend did tell me some people don't like the direction of this manga series, so I really hope that I will enjoy where this is going to go because I'm in too deep, okay? This is the 11th volume. I'm literally in too deep. I cannot give up on this manga series because I'm not done. I want to know what's gonna happen for the rest of the manga series. But anyway, I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. Really enjoy it, and I cannot wait to read the 12th volume, which is coming out in May. Yeah, in May. I pre-ordered the book. I'm ready. Real quick, I want to talk about the books that I DNF in April. So there are 2 of them. The very first one is A River of Royal Blood by Amanda Joy. I was listening to the audiobook. I think I stopped around page 180. Long story short, this book is just not for me. I was not invested in the characters and the problem. Well, when it comes to the whole problem thing with, you know, the sisters and this tradition, I kind of hated it because basically these 2 sisters, they kind of have to kill each other, you know, like we need a winner so one of them can become queen. But basically there's this backstory and I did not like it because it's like a law for them to fight and for one of them to be killed so the other one can become a queen. I don't know, it was just weird and I didn't like it because I was just like, damn boy, this sucks. And here's the thing, this is the very first book. I gave up almost halfway through, you know, the book, so I'm sure that in this series the 2 main characters will literally fight against this law because, you know, it sucks. But anyway, but yeah, I was just not feeling this book, so I didn't want to force myself to finish the book. I just gave up on this book. But here's the thing, I'm sure that it's good because I've heard some amazing reviews about this book, but I tried to read it but I didn't finish it, so there's that. And now the second book that I DNF in April is Luck of the Titanic by Stacey Leigh. This book is actually a new release book. I'm sure that is out already because I'm filming this video on May 5th and the book came out yesterday, May 4th. Real quick, I'm sure that this book is good. Based on the synopsis, it actually sounds very interesting. And also, this story is very important because it's about the Titanic and the survivors who happen to be Chinese. But man, I don't know, I think I just didn't really like the character. I don't remember exactly why I DNF'd this book. I think it's mostly because I was reading the physical arc for a week and I just did not make any progress whatsoever. So I read like 100 pages and then I just gave up because I really wanted to read other books. So that's why I made the decision to DNF this book so I can just move on with the other books. Again, I'm sure that this book is good. I feel like if you really enjoy Stacey Leigh's other historical fiction books, then I'm sure that you'll enjoy this one because this book is also written by Stacey Leigh and the genre of this book is historical fiction. So like I said, I'm sure it's good, but I DNF this book. The next book is Happy Endings by Thien-Kim. There are some trigger warnings for this book. Mention of cancer, mention of a heart attack, and then a fire accident. Basically, the main character in this book is Trixie. She wants to open her own sex shop. Is that how you say it? Sex toy business kind of shop, you know? So she really wants to do that. She moved to DC, I think a year prior, and you know, she's making good progress on her career. And then actually, is it 2 years prior? I don't know. But anyway, she's in DC with her friends. Next thing you know, she meets an ex-boyfriend again. What's his name? Andre? Wow, I forgot his name. Turns out 2 years prior, when she and Andre, you know, lived together in New Orleans, he broke up with her with a post-it note. Obviously, she's mad, but at the same time, she's horny as hell because he happens to be very good looking. And vice versa, when it comes to Andre, he just cannot help but be, I guess, enamored by her. So basically, they decide to be in this friends with benefit relationship. However, Andre, in his head, he's just like, you know what? I want her back. Okay, so I guess that's the synopsis. Let's get into the review. I feel like this book could have been so damn good. Okay, so let's start with the good things. The sex scenes are fantastic. Like, oh my god, it's so raunchy. Like, nasty. Look, you know? So yeah, sex scenes, really good. However, when it comes to everything else, they're not horrible, but like I said, it could have been better. So for example, certain things are repeated a lot in this book. When it comes to Trixie, basically she wants to open her sex toy shop, and of course she wants to do that because she wants to prove to her parents that she can do this shit. And it's been repeated over and over again because she just wants to prove to her parents that she's capable of doing this kind of thing, you know, selling sex toys and opening her own shop and all that stuff. But my god, it's been repeated over and over again, and I'm just like, dude, I get it, I get your goal and I get your motivation, but do you have to repeat this shit 50 times in this book? I was honestly kind of fed up. Now, my biggest problem when it comes to this book, unfortunately, is actually Andre. Oh my god, this man is horrible at communication. This is how I would describe him. He's not a bad person. I think he's a good guy. However, he can be an asshole. Like I said, he's just not good at communication. But not just that, he hides things all the time. So he and his sisters are just one sister. Basically, Andre and his sister are co-owners of this restaurant. He works at the restaurant full-time because his sister is actually in at university, so she's not at the restaurant full-time like him. Basically, there's talk of the restaurant being shut down. The business is not doing well at all. They don't have a lot of customers, and like I said, they're in debt. Like, they're in a lot of debt. So we have tons of problems when it comes to the restaurant. My biggest issue is that Andre doesn't tell his sister any of this at all. He is the kind of person who has to do everything himself. He doesn't ask for help, which is not a good thing when it comes to this problem because of what happened towards the end of this book. This whole thing could have been prevented. That's all I'm gonna say because I don't want to shit on the love interest that much, but yeah, he's just a very frustrating character. I find myself being annoyed at him a lot of times. I'm sure there are like more things to critique about him, but that's something that I do remember is that he hides things from his sister about the restaurant, and like I said, this whole thing with the restaurant could have been prevented, but he doesn't want to ask for help. It's just a lot, okay? So I really, you know, enjoyed this book a little bit. However, it's just not my favorite, so I give it a 3 out of 5 stars because I think it's good, like there's potential, but unfortunately it kind of fell flat at times. What am I even saying? But yeah, anyway, sex scenes are great. Now let's move on. The next book that I finished is Concrete Rose by Angie Thomas. Real quick, there are some trigger warnings for this book. Violence, murder, death, drug use, drug dealing, and gun violence. Basically, this is about Maverick when he's like 17 years old. Maverick is the father of Star from The Hate You Give. In that book, we're following his daughter Star, and of course, you know, in that book, Maverick is an adult and he's a dad of like 3 children. But in this book, we're following Maverick when he's a teenager. Basically, in the beginning of this book, he finds out that he is a father, basically, that he has a child with another person, and then halfway through this book, he and his partner, in a way, I don't know, it's very confusing, but Lisa from the Vampire Academy? No, Lisa. Oh my god, this is so embarrassing. But basically, he and Lisa, they have sex and she gets pregnant with Star. Yeah, that's how Star was conceived in this book. Ew. Besides that, in this book, we're also dealing with very serious topics like gun violence, drug dealing. Yeah, let's talk about this book and how amazing it is because, spoiler alert, this is my favorite book of April. Can you hear that? I was actually very excited when I started reading this book because I know that it's about Maverick, and Maverick is actually my favorite character from The Hate You Give. As I was reading this book, I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna give this 4 stars. But when I finished this book, I took a step back and just think about all of the things that happened in this book and how it shaped our main character Maverick, and I was just like, this is so fucking good. So I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Of course, we get to see Maverick when he's like 17 years old, and of course his character is so different from his character in The Hate You Give because in The Hate You Give, he's a father and he's an adult and he's responsible and he has common sense. In this book, he has none of those things, okay? He has common sense, however, he makes tons of mistakes. It's hard to see at times because everything just blow up in his face. In the beginning of this book, of course, we get to see how he becomes a dad for 7. And then halfway through this book, he and his ex-girlfriend have unprotected sex. I was so mad because it's like, you guys should know better, okay? However, I'm just so happy to see Maverick dealing with this because instead of like abandoning his children, he decides to step up and become a man and become a father for his children because if you don't know, his father is actually in prison for a good chunk of his life, if I remember correctly. So yeah, I really appreciate his character development because I believe that he has grown throughout this entire book, okay? So it's really great to see that. And of course, when it comes to the topics in this book, we're covering 3 very important topics. First one is teen pregnancy. So this one is a little bit different, like the way it's being handled and the circumstances are much different because Maverick is a young black teen. Not just that, he has 2 children with 2 different girls as well. It's very complicated, but I feel like the way he handles things is kind of good, you know? It's not horrible, but it's not freaking amazing, but still, I appreciate Maverick for just trying to become a dad, like a good father for his children. The second topic that we cover is drug dealing. The way it's being talked about in this book and also portrayed really makes me feel so bad for everyone who has no choice. How do I say this? Basically, drug dealing, you make tons of money. But the thing is, it's not a good job. It's literally illegal, but not just that, you can get killed from drug dealing, you know? So it's very, very scary. Seeing Maverick struggling with drug dealing is hard to watch because he needs money. He's literally a father of 2 children and he's so young. He's 17. He's still in high school. He needs money desperately. So we get to see him just struggling with this drug dealing business. The way it's being portrayed in this book, I really empathize with the main character Maverick. And then of course, the last topic that we discuss in this book is gun violence within the black community. I feel like if you have read Long Way Down by Jason Reynolds, you would really appreciate this book because the similarities are definitely there. But yeah, I really appreciate this book because it it talks about a lot of very important topics, you know. So I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it so much. It was just way better than I expected, because again, I thought that I was gonna give this book 4 out of 5 stars, but I'm very glad that I was proven wrong. The next book that I read is How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories by Holly Black. If you don't know, this book is a companion book of, what's it called? The Folk of the Air trilogy. There we go. The Folk of the Air trilogy. The first book is The Cruel Prince, so it tells stories about the King of Elfhame, which is Carden. But here's the thing, this book was just okay. If you're like a die-hard fan of the Folk of the Air trilogy, you would definitely love this book, because I know a lot of people who like really love the trilogy. They really love this book. However, I'm just like an average fan of the trilogy. Like I appreciate and enjoy everything, but I'm not like a die-hard fan of the trilogy. That's the thing. So when I read this book, I was just kind of like, oh, okay. Like literally, I was not really impressed, but I was not like too disappointed. So there's that. I just wish that we have more cute scenes between Carden and June, because surprisingly, I really shipped them, okay? Like, I remember crying after I finished The Cruel Prince because of how much I really shipped them. It's so weird, but anyway. And also, I do like the fact that we get to see backstories of Carden, who is, you know, one of the main characters of the trilogy. Now, let's talk about the art. The art is genuinely beautiful. Oh my god, this book, beautiful. It's like a storybook, you know, like a bedtime storybook kind of thing, because it's like about fairies and stuff. In a way, reading this book is quite an experience, because of course you get to see the illustration and the art throughout this entire book. But when it comes to like the stories, they're just like okay, in my opinion. I was not super impressed with this book, I guess. I gave this book 3 out of 5 stars, which I think is still, you know, a good rating. Yeah, this book is gorgeous. I'm gonna keep it because I want this to match with my trilogy. And now let's talk about these 2 books, Twice Shy by Sarah Hogle and Starfish by Akemi Bowman. I'm not going to talk too much about these 2 books because I actually did a reading vlog. It's called My Mom Chooses My TBR Books. In that video, my mom chooses these 2 books for me to read. Basically, I talk about these 2 books at the end of that reading vlog, so I'm not going to repeat myself just because I don't want to. I really enjoyed this book, like way more than I expected. And funny enough, I thought that I was going to give this book 3 out of 5 stars, but no, I actually gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. And like I said, I really enjoyed it way more than I thought. With this book, I thought that I was going to give this book 4 out of 5 stars, but I actually gave this book 3 out of 5 stars at the end of the day, which is such a weird thing, okay? So things were switched, basically. That's what I have to say when it comes to these 2 books. And like I said, if you want to hear my review, then just watch the reading vlog. And now let's talk about the Six of Crows duology. Wait, let me switch. The Six of Crows duology, okay? So this is the very first book, and this is the second book of the duology. Of course, I reread this duology because if you don't know, Shadow and Bone basically is a book to TV show adaptation. It came out on Netflix. I still have not watched that yet. I will, okay? I promise I will watch that show. Hopefully I can finish it this month. But basically, I really wanted to reread all of the books that will be based on when it comes to the TV show. So I'm done doing my part, okay? I reread this duology, so I cannot wait to start watching the show. But yeah, let's talk about Six of Crows. Real quick, there are some trigger warnings for this book. Violence, murder, death, graphic injury, fantasy, drug abuse, mentions of sex trafficking and rape, genocide, and gambling. In this book, we have these 6 characters. They're given this opportunity to break into this prison to like find this person, and they get money from doing that job. So yeah, that's basically it. Believe it or not, I did not love this reread at all. But here's the thing, this could be my fault, because when I was listening to the audiobook, I was playing Animal Crossing. I really pay attention to my island and villagers than listening to the audiobook. So at times, I was just so lost with this plot and this whole thing, because man, I did not love this book. It's so shocking, because when I read it for the first time back in 2016, I'm pretty sure I give it like a 5 out of 5 stars, you know? I really enjoyed this book, but rereading this book, it's just okay. It's not my favorite, but it's literally just okay. Let's talk about the things that I really love about this book. My favorite character in this book is Inesh, okay? People love Inesh, and I also love Inesh as well. Real quick, Inesh, she's a victim of sex trafficking and rape. In this book, she has a goal of just, you know, becoming rich and having her own ship and hunting down slavers, and I love that for her. I really love Inesh, okay? So there's that. And also when it comes to like romantic relationship, I definitely ship Cass and Inesh so much, way more than I thought, okay? Reading this book, I'm just like, damn, I really love Cass and I really love Inesh, and I really love them two together. So really ship them. And yeah, I think that's about it when it comes to what I had to say. Of course, I really like the other characters as well, but in this book, I really pay attention to our 2 main characters, Cass and Inesh. When it comes to the plot, oh my god, I was so lost for a majority of the time, I feel like, which is such a shame because here's the thing, I'm sure that this book is good. However, my memory is just so bad that at times this book goes by so fast and then I'm just like, what happened in the last like 200 pages? So I don't know, my feeling when it comes to this reread and this book is kind of distorted a little bit because again, I was playing Animal Crossing when I was listening to the audiobook, so that was not the best decision, but it's too late now. So I gave this book 3.5 out of 5 stars, I'm pretty sure. Still a bad rating, but it's not a 5 out of 5 stars, so what's the point? Now, Crooked Kingdom, which is the last book of this duology and also the last book that I read in April. There are some trigger warnings for this book: violence, murder, death, graphic injury, and gambling. When it comes to this book, I like it way more than I thought. But at the same time, in this reread, when it comes to the plot, I'm just so confused because goddamn, this book is so long and I feel like a lot of things happen and I just cannot keep track of everything. However, when it comes to the characters, I actually like them a lot more in this book because I feel like we definitely get more scenes of them talking and arguing. You get to see everyone's personality when they're arguing, funny enough. So yeah, I actually really enjoy this book. Again, I love Inej, and real quick, I feel like she has the best kind of ending because her ending, I cry so much. If you have read this book, you know what I'm talking about. It's such a fucking good ending for her. I'm just so happy for Inej. So of course I was again very invested in her and her storyline. So yeah, the ending was good. At the same time, it's sad. There's not much to say because this is like the second book of a duology and I just don't want to spoil anything, you know. So I think I gave this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars, basically the same rating as Six of Crows. So I cannot wait to start Shadow and Bone, which is on Netflix. The next book that I read is Darius the Great Deserves Better by Adib Khorram. Real quick, there are some trigger warnings for this book: bullying, racism, xenophobic and homophobic comics, descriptions of anxiety and depressive episodes. If you don't know, this is the second book of a duology, I believe. The first book is called Darius the Great Is Not Okay, which is literally one of my favorite book of 2020. A year later, I have finally read the second book of this series. So this is called Darius the Great Deserves Better. Basically, in this book, our main character Darius, he has a boyfriend for the very first time. However, there's like a love triangle in a way. I feel like it's not too bad. Like there's not Actually, is there cheating? I don't think there's cheating in this book. I don't think so. It definitely never crossed that line, so I appreciate it. But if you must know, there are two boys who like Darius, basically. Of course, a lot of things happen in this book, but based on the synopsis, I feel like it kind of focuses on the love triangle a little bit. This book is so good. It's so amazing. What's really weird and funny is that I cannot believe this book makes me happy and sad at the same time. Towards the end, I was crying. I'm pretty sure I cried. Let's face it, I'm a Pisces. But basically, I was crying, but at the same time, I'm just like, I'm so happy and yet I'm so sad when it comes to this book. It is such a weird feeling and I cannot believe Adib Khorram managed to make me cry happy and sad tears. It's so weird. I feel like when it comes to like the sad part of this book, I definitely relate to it because it involves a death of a loved one, basically. When it comes to like the happy stuff, there's just so much affirmation of love. Is that the right word, affirmation? Basically, we get so many scenes of Darius and other characters saying I love you to each other. I know that it sounds so basic, but just having those scenes over and over and over again makes me so fucking happy, because seeing Darius having healthy relationships with his family members really makes me happy, because everyone deserves that, and it's really nice to see Darius having that in this book. And then of course his dad and his relationship with his dad, it has improved so much, because real quick, in the first book his relationship with his dad is very rocky. However, in this book there's so much improvement when it comes to both characters and their relationship, you know, because this father and son relationship is honestly wonderful to read. So I really love that about this book. The family aspect is so good. Like, damn, I just relate to this book way more than I thought. So I will say I love the first book so much more than this book. In my opinion, I think the first book is freaking amazing. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. It's literally one of my favorite books ever, because I just really relate to Darius. Of course, in this book I also relate to Darius, but still I love the first book so much more, you know. So when it comes to this second book, I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I still think it's really good. I think everyone needs to read this duology. I feel like it's so underrated because I don't see a lot of people talking about about Darius the Great, like this duology by Adib Khorram, because it's so freaking good. The next book is Hani and Ishu's Guide to Fake Dating by Adiba Jaigirdar. As you can see, this is an arc, and I actually read this book with Adri from Perpetual Pages, so I will have their links down in the description box below. Real quick, there are some trigger warnings for this book: racism, homophobia, Islamophobia, toxic friendship, gaslighting, and parental abandonment. Basically, this book is a YA contemporary featuring, is that the right word? Starring our two main characters, Hani and Ishu. Basically, Hani has horrible friends, okay? I forgot their names already because I freaking hate them, but basically, her best friends do not believe her when she says, hey, I'm bisexual. It's such a big moment because she's coming out to her friends, her best friends, and they straight up said, no, you're not. They really believe that she's not bisexual because Hani has only dated boys in the past. Hani has never kissed a girl, so how could she know that she's bi? Wow, they're the worst. So of course, Hani really wants to prove her best friends wrong. She comes up with a plan to fake date Ishu. So basically, they start fake dating Ishu. She wants to fake date Hani because Hani is very popular at school and Ishu wants to become head girl. That's basically the synopsis when it comes to this book. I actually really enjoy this book. I'm happy about that because damn, I was so scared that I won't like this book because the best friends of Hani is the worst. I'm not exaggerating when I say I genuinely hate the best friends because they're so close-minded, but not just that, you're so problematic, like regarding the comments and their behavior, and also the gaslighting, the lying. I was very frustrated a lot of times because I cannot believe these two people treat their best friend, supposedly best friend, so horribly. But at the same time, Hani, sweetie, you deserve so much better. Like, these best friends viewers suck ass and you deserve so much more, and I really wish that Hani knows that from like the beginning of this book. But no, it takes her a long time to realize that her best friends are literally horrible. Besides that, let's talk about the good things. I really appreciate the two main characters and how they grow throughout this entire book. You know, I love a good character development. And then also this character named Nick, who is the older sister of Ishu. I'm honestly so surprised by her because I really thought that I won't like her in this book, but towards like I think the end of this book, she actually really surprised me. So I really appreciate the older sister. Just overall, I think this book is amazing. I cannot wait for people to read this book because this will come out sometime in May. Oh my god, I don't know the date. I think, oh, May 25th, okay? May 25th, 2021. This will come out to the public. So I cannot wait for everyone to read this book because I think this is really good. Of course, I give it 4 out of 5 stars. Really appreciate this book and I cannot wait to read more books from Adiba Jaigirdar. Last but not least, I'm here to talk about Blood Promise by Richelle Mead. Basically, I am hosting a year-long read-along with Tiffany and Sandy. Of course, we're actually rereading the Vampire Academy series and the Bloodline series this year. In April, we read Blood Promise. I will have the link to the live show down in the description box below because we talked about it a few days ago. So real quick, there are some trigger warnings for this book: dysfunctional power dynamics, violence, death, murder, alcoholism, depression, manipulation, and cheating. I guess the only thing I can say is that the main character, Rose, she goes to a different country to finish her goal and her task, and she meets new characters. That's basically it. When it comes to this book, I actually really enjoy it way more than I thought. I feel like the things that I actually like about this book is her going to Russia and just meeting the other characters, basically. So I want to say the first 200 pages of this book, I was actually enjoying everything, to be honest. I was actually quite surprised because it was a little bit slow, but still, I really appreciate the difference of culture, I guess, because of course for the first 3 books, we get to see the characters in the United States of America. But in this book, we get to see Rose going to Russia and just meeting new people and just seeing the culture. Now, when it comes to this romantic relationship between Rose and Dimitri, is it romantic? I don't know. I don't care. But yeah, I don't care about Rose and Dimitri. When it comes to their relationship, it's a headache. If you don't watch our live shows, basically I complain about them quite a lot because it's a student-teacher relationship. It's kind of gross because she's underage, okay? In the first 3 books, she was 17. He's 24. In this book, yeah, she's 18, but he's... You know what? I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to say too much. But yeah, enjoy this book way more than I thought. I give this book 3.5 out of 5 stars and I cannot wait to read or reread Spiritbound by Richelle Mead because that's gonna be our book for May because obviously it's the 5th book of Vampire Academy, so we gotta read that shit in May and I'm so excited to reread Spiritbound because I have a good feeling that that book will be my favorite book of the entire series. I have a good feeling. If I'm let down, then I'll let you know in my May wrap up. So those are all of the books that I read in April. I've been filming for 3 hours. No, 2 hours? I don't know. I'm so bad at times. But basically, I've been filming for quite a while, so I really want to go and take off my makeup. Lastly, I want to ask everyone, what is your favorite book of April, okay? So if you know, read books, then of course, please tell me your favorite book of the month. I would love to know. Leave it down in the comment section below. And I think that is basically it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe for more videos, and I will see you guys later. Goodbye!
You mean bread and butterflies?
Oh, yes, of course. Hmm?